Hi everyone, this is your weather woman meteorologist Amy Metz. Today we're going to take a look at New Caledonia. There is a tropical cyclone that is very well going to be making a landfall there next week. I'm also going to get a little bit into the technicalities of what's going on there with their weather prediction center for from Australia, that is. And here also is the United States under a very serious threat for tonight. We're looking in the red here with a large chance for tornadoes, and then even extending into where that's yellow and brown in some of those cases. So I have all these links down below in case you want to follow along. I'm showing you here where the moisture is, and then here, excuse me, where back to that. No, I'm in this browser today. Okay, so then that'll be the United States weather that I'll look at here. The upper level and then the lower level. So you can change from there to there with their sidebar here. So starting off with what's going on with New Caledonia, I'm going to first show you some satellite imagery and then come back to this later on in the week and check on it again. What we're looking at right now are the sea surface temperatures in particular. So where it's orange, it is conducive for cyclone development right now, and that's basically the same thing as a hurricane as far as we call them in the United States, and their season is just starting. So over here we have Papua New Guinea, and there's very well, there's a really high chance that in the next day or two there's going to be a cyclone developing there, which means that down near the surface there's actually a closed low, that the low pressure has its own circle around it instead of just different pressures being next to one another. It's actually moving in a circular motion there at the surface. And here in this part of the world we're looking at clockwise motions for these low pressures. So little by little, all of this action where the red is showing very intense amounts of moisture, really high up in the sky and cold there. That's where it's going to be torrential downpours. And some of this has reasons that in the upper atmosphere that are going to lead to that cyclonic development and tropical waves. So I'll get into that a little later. And for now, I'll focus more on what's happening tonight here in the United States. So categorically, we have here with the Storm Prediction Center these different risk levels. And you don't oftentimes see this moderate risk level. When you think moderate, you might not be thinking, most people think kind of semi, but in this case, that moderate chance is actually kind of serious. It means that there is a pretty good chance there will be some tornadoes. Now they're putting Memphis, Tennessee all the way down to Jonesboro, Arkansas, and I have been in agreement with this. I've been watching for a couple of weeks as there have been some air masses getting ready to collide with one another in slow motion there. So we have these wind watches all the way extending a little bit further through most of Indiana and Illinois. They have been on the low end of severe weather this year so far, and hail is also at the 15% chance here. So these are some pretty high risk factors coming out of the Storm Prediction Center. 30% with the some of these coming out for the wind, and then for tornado up to 15, just to make sure that that's very clear for you. That in this case means that there's a high probability that there will be a chance for tornadoes inside this zone here. So that low number really only means that not that entire area will have a tornado, but that there's a likely chance that somewhere within this zone will. So moving on to the this water vapor imagery, it shows us the higher levels up where there's moisture, and so where there's green there's a lot of moisture, where it's blue it's not as much, and it gives me a good idea of how the air is moving. And so the reason why this is going to be kind of an outburst of severe weather is that we have air coming in from the colder polar regions colliding with another jet here that's usually around the tropics. So these are very different air masses. We're getting one with that warmer air, different densities, different temperatures lead to more convective systems. So that's the reason this is going to happen. And then at different levels we have other stories going on too. So there is a closed low in the upper levels here. We're looking at, well, this is kind of a mid-level, around 850 millibars. The green in this picture is going to show you where there's a lot of moisture at this level. That's where you normally will kind of look up and start seeing cloud levels at that 850 millibar. So there's already abundant moisture here. You can see behind me lots and lots of fog. I'm in Georgia, so that I'm encompassing the region right here, North Georgia. showing you, yes, lots of moisture available. So that means there's a chance for that instability to have something to grab onto and create more weather with. And that's leading up to where this cold front, is that thunder? I think I'm already hearing crackling thunder. Okay, cool. Nice. So yeah, we have a low pressure that's going to be sliding eastward. It's not the most intense thing I've ever seen, but there is, as these air masses are colliding, a high chance that there will be the severe weather. So kind of a more of a zonal flow across the United States here. Otherwise, at the 500 millibar levels, and no major changes to me on this map tell me that sometimes we'll see reds and blues here, and that indicates that there's going to be a fast movement, a very big change right away. Things are going to probably kind of keep moving how they have been, speed up a little bit more as that low pressure reaches near the Appalachians, and then 700 millibars a little bit higher in the atmosphere. More of that moisture is actually behind this trough, so that's a little bit different, meaning that it's a chance there could be lingering storms for days even after the big bulk of the weather passes. And that's where we started with the 850 dew points and theta E. Another chance here with higher theta E's that severe weather could be a little more intense there. We do have some CAPE and some SIN here, also extremely high levels. So 500 reaching up to 15, we're looking at a high chance for severe weather for a lot of reasons. Now, when these things match up with the moisture, that's when we get the biggest trouble. So going to the surface maps on this College of DuPage website, this is now looking at the ground level moisture. Green again is where it's mostly moist within 5-degree dew point here. So dew point to regular temperature, that is. And again, this low pressure actually reaches all the way down to the surface, so that just gives us more reason to believe it is strong. It's a little tilted because that low pressure at 850 was a little bit more centered here around the center. So we are getting a tilt with this low pressure as it goes up through the atmosphere. And all of these things play different factors into how it will progress. So what I'm going to do now is go back to windy so that we saw the wide picture here. And I want to take a very good look at different levels in the atmosphere. So looking at the winds here across the United States, I'll get us centered here where everything's coming together. I believe that's a little closer than I want. So everything's coming together around that low that we just saw. Low pressure in the northern hemisphere does this counterclockwise motion. So now from the surface, I'm going to drag this up to the jet level. A lot of strong moving winds here. So there are some jet maxes at this level where you'll more easily with these colors be able to tell what I meant by that polar jet interacting with the subtropical jet. So they're actually mashing together, and that's why there's a big chance for severe weather here. Now this mashup is starting right around the Texas area, but there's not that abundant moisture that we saw with the southeast. There's not that high SIN, there's not the high CAPE that we just looked at on this region. So it's not really that serious for them. Jumping right into the satellite view to show you the infrared. And remember those reds on this kind of an imagery were torrential downpours. We're not even seeing torrential downpours aside from a little bit over Mexico right now. So here it's a little bit lighter so far. But then when this storm here, we have this front line kind of almost lining up as a cold front along this low pressure. It's a little disorienting right now. It's not exactly classic because of that mashup of those air masses. The way they're coming together is a little different than usual, but this is going to be what we're looking at for that front line of storms, plus supercells possibly developing along the front side here, ahead of that bulk frontal storm. So it's going to be maybe overnight, I would say, with the Mississippi area, Arkansas, parts of Missouri, Tennessee, Illinois, and Indiana, and then into tomorrow morning. This is Saturday morning then, Ohio, into Tennessee, where I am, Alabama, I am over here in North Georgia. We'll all be seeing this Sunday, and throughout Sunday and Sunday night, it will be hitting the East Coast. And at that point, I do believe that what we're seeing here with this moisture front, it will end up tying in with the subtropical jet. Now that's where we're going to have probably another chance for some explosive convective cells to produce some fast tornadoes and more damages. So on that note, I'm curious then, I haven't even looked yet what the SPC is saying about the next couple of days. Yeah, so it has gone up. So their risk factor here was a little bit lower before, and I thought it could increase. Now they have it low for the next day. I do believe that there might be a gap here, personally. So they do have this as the thunderstorm potential being high, that there could be some severe damages there on Saturday. But for Sunday, it's almost as if there's a jump. I don't think that Orlando and Jacksonville are going to get that break that is right now appearing in their warning areas. This probably will also be filled with some severe weather as this system passes through. So this is ongoing from tonight, Friday night. In just a few hours, we will start seeing more severe weather throughout Arkansas. And I'm going to change now to the radar, and then before I end here, I'll show a little bit of the wind shear as well. So actual radar and rain, like I was saying, there were not torrential downpours here beside Mexico. However, that is not showing up because of the radar that I'm using right now is only United States. It's a little less severe here so far. Now, Arkansas and Missouri, southeast Missouri, just wait, hang tight, because tonight it will stop. These little tiny showers will become more and more convective as they move into this southeastern region. And as I had said, I would love to not just stop there with the Sin Cape, but then see what other kind of potentials there could be for that severe weather here. There's a couple more items that I can take a look at because, yes, here. Now when it comes to another day or two ahead, oh, these are only going back. This is not the forecast model. So at 0 hour right now, there are some streamlines connecting here on the thickness charts. We still see more of a zonal flow, but that low pressure. What's going on here does indicate to me that there will still be that severe weather going through. So I wanted to make sure before I signed off that I would hold true to that statement here, that I don't think this is going to get skipped out here on the Florida Peninsula. So still also be aware there Saturday and Sunday with what's going on weather-wise. I would like to check out Weather Underground because it is one of the sources where I can check the whole United States with alerts really easily. So I didn't add this one into the description below, but this is just going to be Weather Underground. And what I can do here is look at alerts just to see if anything's popped up yet. I would be a little surprised if it did. But here we can see the front, what they are analyzing as a front. I wondered if there would be one analyzed. So severe weather here, lightning there. And we can get a picture of what's going on now. I don't think things will turn very severe until later on through the night, a few hours away still, but I would love to look and make sure I'm not wrong and nothing's popping off yet. Those boxes here outlined in red are tornado watch areas. We do have the wind reports here, and oranges, wind advisories, and then blues, the wind advisories are a different type. So yes, it's very windy behind this. It will continue to rain afterwards. Things will get more severe as it passes the southeast United States. That's why they're under tornado watch here. So be on high alert if you're in these areas. I'll continue to share things online. And down below I also have all in the description some of my different links to social media platforms where you can see what's going on around the world with weather and with space weather. There's not a ton going on right now, but I'll update space weather again soon. And before I stop, I want to show the very latest information for what's happening with New Caledonia, because right now we only have up to 120 hours, 4 days away, and we're seeing that there's a 50-knot chance. But I do believe that the storm heading toward New Caledonia, about to form now near Papua New Guinea, will in fact be closer to a Category 2 hurricane at a landfall. So I'm going to play out that model and just let you know that I'll be updating this next. It's on my list of things to do tonight before I go to bed, that I'll get this forecast in, because again, southern hemisphere clockwise motion for these low pressure systems. The storm builds and builds. If you see whites on this wind factor here, this scale means that would be over 100 miles per hour, and with gusts, I believe by this time it will be. Right now we're looking at sustained winds, and so that's going up to about 50 miles per hour at this point by next week for sustained, and then increasing more to 60, 70, 80, 85 miles per hour sustained. So this could either scrape right by the coast, go between, a couple islands here, but